men have a tendency to do things in our own strength to make things happen because we have that pressure to make things happen. I love the fact that we don't give God enough room to move in our lives because we just try to do things all on our own. And I speak for myself as well as the majority of you, because we all have that tendency. So if you look at your worksheet, it's talking about video discussion. It's asking, did you have an epic adventure that you engaged in, and did you experience what it felt like to hike the canyon instead of hug the rim? And if you did, how did that experience make you feel alive and connected to God? I love when he talked about that at the very beginning when he said, you know, you can't know unless you do, and you can't do unless you know. You know, it's kind of like you got to experience it to be able to know what it's like. Anybody have that?
Makes sense. Sometimes, like in the job where I work at an animal hospital. I do dog grooming and whatnot. But one part of my job is I talk to many different people. And yeah, a lot of people are, when you talk to them, they seem like they're very knowledgeable about what they're talking about and whatnot. But then it's like, with how he said, it's like it's all just based on stuff that they learn on TV or whatnot, and it kind of, when somebody's telling you something, you're like, oh, when you're into what they're telling you, and then when you realize that it's like how he said, it's based on just what they learn on TV, it kind of takes away from, the feeling like, oh man, well, I thought you experienced that, and that's why you were telling me, and I was kind of the moment of something that maybe you experienced, but it's, I don't know, maybe it's just me, I don't know if you guys kind of follow what I'm saying, but.
Well, it's like, and this is not to knock anybody that went to school, because there is learned knowledge, education, and then you've got people with street smarts. Which one's better? And the answer is yes. They're both good. They both play a role, but one's not better than the other because the guy with that education may come into a situation where the guy with the street smarts is going to have a better answer than the guy with the education, because it's all applied. And like he was talking about in the video, it's not experiential, it's educational.
Or vice versa.
What's that?
Or it could be the other way around.
Right. No, it couldn't be the other way around. That's why I said there's going to be a situation where one's going to be the other. So, anybody else have anything on that?
Yeah, one time a while back, I was asked to speak at Riverside College at a business class. And, it was packed with just students, older, young, it was different ages. And the first thing I asked, I go, how many people in here want to go in business to make money? And everybody lifted their hands. I said, well, that's not going to happen. Because before you make money, you're going to struggle, you're going to sacrifice, you might go bankrupt, you might not get a loan, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. But the end result might happen when you do make money. But before that happens, it's not going to happen. And so it's like the Rodney Dangerfield back to school thing. Everybody, I'm sure everybody's seen back to school. It's the same thing.
No, that's not Christian.
What's that?
Nothing. I'm just.
But there's, and we're the same way when it comes to the Lord. We think we want to go on a mission field, go preach to a tribe someplace in the Amazon. Well, we can do that right here in our backyard. I mean, there's so many things. You might get beat up. You might get spit on.
You might get killed.
You might get kicked if you go to a different country.
There's a lot of people that's like, oh, I'd love to do a missions trip. That's great. How long are you going for? 10 days. Oh, put me down. I want to go. Yeah, you just need to raise about $3,500 to be able to go. Yeah, then all of a sudden, I don't want to be a missionary anymore. I mean, and there is sacrifice that goes with a lot of things. I love what they were saying towards the end is dream a dream or take a risk that's so big that the only way that you can succeed is if you you had divine intervention. I love that, because that goes against everything that we've been taught, everything that we believe, everything that we've learned as men, as business people, as normal human beings. It's like, you don't take a risk to fall on your face. You take a risk because you've done your homework, you've written your business plan, you've done all of those things. It'd be crazy to jump into something, but now you're hearing, jump into something knowing that God can come through. That don't, okay, here's my disclaimer for this evening, okay? Don't go home and tell your wife or somebody, Pastor Allen told me it's okay to go into business without a business plan or anything like that, because that's not what I'm telling you to do. God's gonna make us rich, you know, that's not the idea. But what I'm saying is if God puts something inside of you, then do it. One of the things that I'm huge with is when I try to get somebody involved in ministry, and when I say involved in ministry, ministry is not all being a pastor. Ministry has a multitude of different definitions to it. Just helping out in different ways is ministry. Your life is a ministry. But when I try to get somebody involved, I want them to go after their passion. I don't want to go up to them and go, hey bro, I need you to do me a favor. I don't want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that says, what is it that you feel as though God's instilling in your heart to do? And I want to help you go and run with it. And this guy's a perfect example of that. And I'm sorry to pick on you, but you know, we needed somebody in the church to be able to do video announcements and different things like Facebook and just different computer stuff for promoting Fusion. And then it kind of branched into, and Ed came to me and goes, well, I don't know much, but I'm willing to give it a shot. And I said, you know what, man, you do it. I'll give you all the support that you need. And, you know, just do the best of your ability. Go with it, and let's see what you can do. And, I mean, the guy's just, you know, God's helped him along the way, and he's just jumped in, and he's done great things, you know, and continues to do great things. I say all that because it's somebody that stepped forward and said, this is what I feel like is passion inside of me. How can I make that work in this atmosphere, you know? And so that's what we need to do, because God's faithful. Who do you think put that inside you? Who do you think gave you that unction to go inside of you? Yes, sir.
Yeah, my son went through that experience quite a few years ago, that all of a sudden he decided to go to Bible school in England through Robert Mosbach School, Gardner's brother. Jim's probably the only one that remembers it here. And he didn't have a plan. He said, but I want to go to that school. And he had to leave within 2 months. He had to get a passport, raise money. And he said, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but God's going to come through. Well, in 2 months he was gone. He had a place to stay. He was going to go to Bible school in England. And all of that was provided through God. He had faith in God to know that what he planned all of a sudden, what God put in his head. In fact, he even interviewed with Pastor Fred one time, you know, and told Pastor Fred what he wanted to do. And so, right before my eyes, and this fell right into